Attention YouTube reviewer, the following video is filmed on a private gun range by a firearms expert. All firearms are handled responsibly and at no point are any bystanders present or ever at risk. The following video also contains no footage of full auto firearms, bump stocks, firearm modifications, or firearm ammunition cells as defined by YouTube's community guidelines. This includes our outro. Welcome back, guys. Today we're talking about a neat little rifle that I picked up not too long ago. This is a Armscor M116 Mark I. But before we get into it, let's take a second to thank our sponsor for this video. Do you like firearms just like I do and hate gun control? Do you want to let all of your liberal friends and family know about it? Well, go over to txodmshop.com and get yourself one of my gun control hats, just like this one right here, and help support the channel. Every single one of these hats get you nice embroidered. Got different colors, different types of camos. This one's multicam, and you get the gun control nice and embroidered there on the front, and an American flag on the side. So y'all go over to txodmshop.com and help support the channel and get yourself one of these awesome hats. Alright, so welcome back. So what we got here is a neat little .22 rifle. This is a Armscor M116 Mark I, and what's interesting about these rifles is there's a lot of naming changes and stuff like that. So originally, this rifle was produced in the mid-late 60s by a company called Squire Brungham, I believe is how it's pronounced. And they produced them in the Philippines. And somewhere in the late 70s, early 80s, they were bought out by Armscor, which happens to be a subsidiary of Rock Island Armory. So that's what they did. They built those rifles and continue going with it. And they changed the names a couple times, and this rifle is actually still produced today by Armscor in the Philippines, just like this one was produced. And I believe it's just called the model M16 now, but that, like I said, that's part of the name. They call it a bunch of different things. This is a Mark I. I actually reached out to Armscor to try to get some information on this rifle because there's not a whole lot of it here in the US. These are actually pretty rare here. They pretty much were only able to tell me the manufacturer date of this rifle, which was 1983. So at some point, this rifle was produced in 83 in the Philippines and made its way here to the US. So I actually got this rifle in a gun show, and I paid a clean $100 bill for it. Which, you know, semi-auto .22 rifle, $100 bill, yeah, I'm down for it anytime. Now, some interesting history with these is I originally bought this rifle because I recognized it because I would have swore once upon a time I had saw an article or a video or something about it where these rifles were actually issued to US and Filipino troops when the M16 was adopted as a training rifle to kind of more or less get their understanding on it, get used to at least the feel of a M16. Now, I could not find any official reports of that, and Armscor, once again, would never reply back to me when I inquired about that specific line of questioning. However, I have seen some text here and there that state that this rifle was indeed used by both the Filipino military and police as a training rifle in order to get themselves acquainted with the platform of the M16. So anyways, let's get into the rifle here a little bit. When I got it, it was actually missing the carry handle. I had to order one of these. I think I got it from, where did I get it from? I think I got it from Apex. I don't remember. But I ordered this here. Now, the rifle does have some issues. Mainly, the problem that I was having is with the firing pin itself. And if you look, you see right there on the top, you see a nice round divot from a normal 22 firing pin. And if you look directly beneath it, you see just the slightest little scratch dent. And that's from this rifle. So basically what's happening is the firing pin is hitting very, very on the outside rim and not hitting very hard at all. I have some ideas on how to fix that, and I'll explain that when we get into the inside of the rifle. Basically what this is a 10-round semi-automatic 22 rifle that feeds from a 10-round detachable faux magazine that I understand that there are supposed to be 15 rounders out there, and I believe that's just what this was used as, but you know, didn't really I don't think I was able to get 15 in there. I think I was able to get 10. Now the rifle does say ever on it to use high velocity ammunition, and a lot of old 22s had that on there because high velocity helps cycle a lot better. Some of the lower velocity stuff or even the subsonic stuff usually will not run in most 22s that are semi-automatic. So basically you got yourself your carry handle, you have just a bent sheet metal aperture sight in there that's not really adjustable in any way, and then you have almost like an A2 front sight there, and that is somewhat adjustable. You can adjust at least the elevation on it, but that's not much else there. And this rifle does have a traditional 22 dovetail slot on the receiver, so you can put a scope on this rifle, which likely what I may do. And then also you have a birdcage style flash hider on there to kind of keep up with that M16 look. You got swivels in about the same location as M16, and then you actually have a M16/AR style pistol grip here. Fun little rifle. It handles really nice. It feels nice in the arms. However, there are some cheapy things with it. So for instance, this A2 block is literally just held in with a set screw, and the same thing with the muzzle brake. So from what I understand, those are very easy to take off. I have not taken them off. However, the sight block was pretty loose when I shot it, so I had to tighten that back up. It does have a wood stock. Now there are two versions of this rifle. There's the wood stock version like this one, and then there's a composite stock version that has a collapsible butt stock on it. Now the booth where I bought this rifle actually had the collapsible butt stock rifle as well. However, it does not look that much like a M4 or AR or M16, so I went with the traditional looking one. So I'm going to grab a first of all, let's go over the ergonomics. Real basic. You got old-fashioned safety here, like on a lot of bolt-action rifles or a lot of old 22s, and you have your charging handle, and then the magazine actually removes off of this here, and you can see it's kind of sticky, but I'll show you more about that when we take this apart. But I'm going to grab a screwdriver now, and we're going to disassemble this rifle so I can kind of get into some of the problems that it has. So disassembling this rifle is actually pretty easy. Flip her upside down. You have a single Phillips, flathead screw right here. It's going to unscrew this, and that's going to remove the action from the stock. Take that out. and then we can take the action from the stock. Now, as you can see, the stock in this kind of magwell adapter is all, you know, one piece. However, you could use this rifle exactly like so. Because if you look here, this is actually the original mag release for the Bergam Squire system. I guess there was a version of this that didn't look like an M16 way back when, probably the early version. And they had this old school mag release here. So you can see how that mag release works on that one there. So a little interesting there. Now, this rifle is actually, the disassembly is easy. The reassembly is a little bit on the tricky side, and I'll show you why. So first of all, we're going to unscrew this. Now be sure to keep your hand here and ready, because this cap is under spring pressure for the recoil spring and also the striker spring. So that's one thing that's interesting about this rifle, is it is in fact striker fire. So you can see that's our recoil spring, and here is our striker spring right there. So we're going to take that out. So now that that is out, we can move the bolt back to this position here, which is a little bit past normal travel, and we can take out our charging handle. Charging handle is out. Now the bolt will wiggle straight out like so. And this is all you have to do for field cleaning and stripping. Pretty much everything else is as it is. Now, if you see here, this is actually the bolt, and that is the striker. And you can see very simply, this spring sits inside of here like so, and then that's how this gun fires. Now the issue is, well, with this, for reliability on this particular rifle, if you look, close this out here, that firing pin doesn't catch a lot on the rim of the cartridge. So and it doesn't protrude very far forward either. So there's two things I'm going to try to do. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this here, and if you see this little flat ledge here, this is where the firing pin lands up against the inside of this slot here, and that dictates how far forward the firing pin can actually travel. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to very so lightly sand right here, just so the firing pin can go slightly farther forward, or I may Dremel out in there a little bit, as that will be a little bit, make a stronger piece. But besides that, there's not much I can do. I would like to be able to move it down as well, but I haven't quite figured that part out just yet on how I can do that. As you can see, the firing pin does sit lower than the bolt already, but not by much. So I'm not exactly sure how I can lower the firing pin down a little bit without deepening that channel, but I'd be concerned about deepening that channel and creating problems like that. But like I said, it's pretty easy about how it goes together. So now comes apart. Now going back together is a little trickier. Now the company, they actually give you a tip here, and if you look here on this side here, it has instructions, and it tells you to release, to hold the trigger back all the way to trip the sear. That way you can actually insert it properly, and then you can actually, if you see right here, you can actually see the sear, and it's actually a little easier if you actually move that back as well when you're reinstalling the rifle. So you can put it on fire. Now we can move that sear back all the way. We're going to take firing pin and our bolt. I'm going to insert it like so. It's a little easier if you do it upside down. I'm going to move the trigger back to get it in. Now the trigger, or the firing bolt can go all the way in. Now at this point here, now is when you want to move that bolt back into the right position in order to get your charging handle. Now if you look here in the charging handle, there's a little groove. That's actually where the firing pin sits inside of that groove and kind of locks it all together. And if you can see here, there's a little groove as well in the firing pin. So when you move your firing pin in, you just gotta find the right little position. So, for instance, gotta put it to where it's that matches up perfectly like that, so you can slide it in, and then once it's in, like so, you gotta make sure that groove's there. That way the firing pin can move forward and backwards. It's tricky. It's a little annoying, but it is how this thing is supposed to go together. And then you see once it's actually in the right position, it can't come out because the firing pin itself is actually holding it. So that is one thing you have to do. And of course, you know, the firing pin drops straight out, it comes out. So that's one of the things we have to. We're gonna line that up there, and we're gonna have to hold the trigger so the sear is out of the way. And we're gonna put that right there. Let's put you in just like so. Okay. So now we're like that. Now the next thing, it's a little easier to do, is to put in your striker first. And this really helps if you go down like this, because you have to make sure you go straight down inside of the back of the bolt. Like I said, it's a bit tricky to do this. Because you really have to make sure that the firing pin moved out of the way. And as I said earlier, sometimes it's easier to actually take that sear that you can see on the side and take it further back off. So we're going to and hold that nice and far back. That should allow us to get that firing pin to fall all the way far forward. Then we can add in our striker spring. Now next we're going to take our recoil spring, go inside of the striker spring as well. Make sure that is seated good. Now you got to make sure you get the striker spring inside of that little guide tube there, and then screw it tight. Now if it's not right, you're going to know because you won't be able to screw this shut and the gun will not function. Yeah, so as long as you do it right, it goes together pretty easy. So now we're going to slap her back together, drop her in like so, flip her around, drop this in here. Now as far as reassembly for 22, this is probably one of the more aggravating, simply because you really got to get the striker and the sear all in the exact position they want to be in order to allow you to put it back together. Alrighty, so now we're back together. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the ergonomics on it. This thing is super light and handy. This thing is, I don't know, a couple pounds. And like I said, it's super it feels nice, really nice in the arms. Like super nice in the arms. The length of pull is decent. Now the grip, like I said, this is a standard M16 grip, so you can probably change this grip out with any AR style grip that you want. I may do that in the future, may not. You see this one here is broken, pretty good. They use really cheap grips for these. And of course this lower is plastic. From what I understand, some of the older ones, this was made out of aluminum or pot metal or something like that. I said this one here is from the 80s. Not super old, but also not really recent, and there's no telling how long it's been in the country. I have seen these where the stock is painted black. I've seen them both factory like that, and then I've also seen them factory wood like this. So the safety, pretty ductile. You know, you can feel it. You know it's on. You know it's off. Now let's go to the trigger. Okay. Got a lot of slop, got a real sloppy trigger that goes any direction it wants to go. So once we get that, we got just a little bit of take up and you hit a wall. A little bit of follow through that wall. A little bit more sponge, and then it goes. Now let's do the reset. A lot of movement. Oh, the low click. Yeah, the reset isn't a real solid audible click, but it's not horrible. Some people say that these triggers aren't the greatest, but to be honest, it's not the worst for me as far as a trigger on a 22, especially something from the 80s. Now, I do plan on doing more with this rifle because I do like this little rifle. It's neat. And I want it to shoot good. So I am planning on doing some repairs on it, and y'all can, well, it's going to be back on the channel when that's done. Anyways, guys, so that's pretty much all we're going to do today. We got some announcements to do here very soon, hopefully next week or two, couple weeks. I'm going to be announcing a new series on the channel with a new partner. That's kind of a big name partner, so fingers crossed for that. Also than that, I got some more 22 reviews. I think the next 2 more videos are going to be 22 rifle reviews as well, and then 1 revolver review, and then we're going to be kicking off some other stuff. I'm behind on filming right now. I've got a lot of shooting footage, but I haven't done any tabletops and stuff, so we're going to be getting to that. And of course, you know, some of the big news. Y'all heard about Donald Trump's assassination attempt? Things can get crazier soon, but I did go ahead and for the occasion, I did make a couple shirts for the occasion to commemorate it and to help raise awareness and help support the channel. So I'm going to show those right here. But besides that, guys, I think that's it for today. Y'all have a good one, and I'll see you next time.